Yeah, I think, we have a number of players who um, have legitimate injuries, and of course we've had scans and so forth back across to the medical team to confirm all of that. And after a hard season, some players, take for example Enda Stevens, who's had to have an osteopubis injection in. Someone like Alan Brown, who's had a hip issue that needed consultations with specialists and so forth. So there's been various issues, but it's an opportunity. We also have some very experienced players in the squad. We have some really emerging players who need more training time and more games with the international team, and we have some new faces, of course, into the squad. So really, we have 2 games in June and a training week, which is a great opportunity, which we've not had since I took over, to have an opportunity to train players over a period of time. And I think, and after that, it's really 5 games in succession, because after the 2, Andorra and Hungary, which are at the end of the season, the start of the next one, very early in pre-season, we have 9 points to play for, which is, Portugal, Azerbaijan and Serbia. So it's those, these 2 games are great for us to prepare for that.
And for newcomers in the squad, could you just sort of briefly give us a little sort of synopsis of each and what you like about them, please?
Yeah, sure. Jamie McGrath, he's been a gradual improver, technically excellent, very, very good feet, good right and left foot, works hard. Obviously scored 17 goals for St Mirren this year, and has done very well overall. Very, very creative player, and a different type of player to the midfield players that we have. Andrew Omobamidele is had done terrific at Norwich last 7 games. He's been accelerated into the senior squad much quicker than we anticipated, really, because he's had he's only 18 years of age, but he's looked extremely composed and extremely athletic. Obviously, we've seen him with the under-17 team in the European Championships here, and then with the under-19s, and he's gone into Norwich's first team and looked not out of place. Obviously, he's benefited from maybe a couple of injuries with more experienced players, so it has happened sooner than we anticipated. Danny Mandroiu is in the squad because he has very, very high technical ability, and he, an incredibly creative passer, and with a capable of scoring goals from outside the box. And he's rebuilt and become a more mature person than he was when he was at Brighton at a young age. He's come back and played with Bohemians and now Shamrock Rovers, and got himself in a better place physically and mentally, and he's a more mature individual. Still only 22, of course. So Chidozie Ogbenya, having gone from Limerick to England, he did a great season with Rotherham 2 seasons ago in League One. Very, very fast, powerful right winger. We don't have that type of player in the squad. He's different to what we've got. So very, very quick, and he did very influential in Rotherham getting promoted from League One to the Championship. Unfortunately, he's been injured for a lot of the year. He got an injury that kept him out for 5 months, and so it limited his availability to Rotherham this year, and I think they missed him. And he came back towards the end of the season. I've seen him play, but he'd been mainly as a wing back or as a centre forward. So, but traditionally he's been a right winger, and that's where he does his best work.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Gavin Cooney, please.
Hi, Stephen. Just one of the guys that is not in the squad is James McCarthy. We saw him play nearly the full game against Liverpool yesterday. So why is he absent? Is it an injury or is it something else?
Listen, James has had a really tough season overall, and that since actually going back to last October when he got injured against Slovakia. He tweaked his hamstring after an hour in that game. He's had a very, very tough season since, and only recently he's got back into the team, and he's played 70 minutes, then nearly 80, and yesterday played 88 actually, and now he's out of contract, and he's just, his body traditionally, obviously, James is just trying to get himself right physically. He's a terrifically talented player, and he's just managing himself at the moment and making sure he's right. It'd be tough for him to come straight off that, having not really played matches in the season, into an international camp and play international games up a level. I think it's asking a lot, and I think we need him to get himself right, and wherever club he's with for next season, have a good pre-season and try and start the season and put himself in contention for September. I think is the best option on that one.
And then what success for you, Stephen, across these 2 friendly games in this camp?
Well, we're just looking to go and have a good week and obviously integrate a lot of players into the group. We've radically obviously changed things. We've brought 15 players in before this camp, even 15 new players into the international team in a 6-month period, and we've capped 13. Well, not including Aaron Connolly, who was capped once already, but including Ireland, probably 13 players into, made their competitive international debut in that period, and which is quite radical. And some might feel it's too much change too quickly, and I understand that viewpoint, but in my opinion, that is necessary because we've had absolutely no development for about 8 or 9 years, where we've one player through in 9 years, and nobody really looking at that. And then a huge demographic between players 29 and 30 and 20, and very little in between. And I think we have a bigger vision for what we want to achieve going forward. I think by integrating a lot of these players in, not all of them will become top class international players, but a number of them will. We've got a lot of talent and we want to see it develop. We want to give it the opportunity to develop, and we want to see the team thrive, and that's certainly what we want. We have a clear idea how we want to do that, and but the caveat for that, or the other side of that, is that we're obviously disappointed that it was a mixed camp. We had a very good performance against Serbia, which I watched last week. Delighted with the performance. Disappointed to lose that game in a match that we should have got result in. But we didn't play well against Luxembourg, and that's a disappointment for us that we didn't play well in that game. And I know that. And we didn't. When you look back at it, it's not a game we deserve to lose, but we didn't play well enough. We should be played better than we did, and so that's it. But I do think that we've got a lot of players who are showing a degree of potential, and some of them haven't had the years that we would have wanted, haven't had a really promising start the previous year for injuries and other reasons. But we do have a number of players, and we've already brought 15 in, and another few into this camp who onto the 15, who are new faces really, and give us a bigger selection over the next few years.
Formations and selections, or are you looking at results and saying that we need to take some momentum into September?
I think ideally you'd want every player available and so forth, but at this time of year traditionally it's not always the easiest, with tough seasons, with championship players playing 46 games in close proximity, and players coming off tough seasons straight into it. But yeah, we want to have a good camp, we want to play well in the games, we want good performances, and certainly we want to come out of out of the 10 days, with some positive signs.
Thank you very much.
Paul Walsh from Virgin Media, please.
Thanks, Kieran. Hi, Stephen. How's it going?
Hi, Paul. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Stephen, considering the run you're on at the moment, are these 2 games must win for you? Do you feel under pressure to win them?
How would you define must win?
As in, you have to get a win to finally get off the mark. I'm just asking in the context of your results so far.
Yeah, listen, we want to of course I'm disappointed that we haven't won matches before now. Like, I'm not going to try and paint another picture. Of course I am, and we want to get a victory in our next game. That's certainly the ambition, and we want to do that for sure.
But is there added pressure on you, Stephen, considering you don't have the win already? So usually these are games to experiment, as Gavin said, you change the formations and stuff, but is your priority, that maybe we should just less of the tactical stuff and the formation stuff, and let's just get the win? Is that a priority for you for this camp?
Well, we want to win the game, but you know, we do have a bigger picture. But yeah, certainly, I get your point that we want to win the game, and you know, I think and Hungary and Budapest is a good game also because you know they're going into the Euros, and that'll be a big test for us as well. So we want to make sure that we put in good performances in the two games and get the results that we want.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Damien Spellman, PA.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Damon.
Stephen, I guess this is a rhetorical question, but have you ever been able to pick your strongest squad yet?
Listen, yeah, probably not. But listen, that's sometimes it's the nature of international football. I'm not going to complain about that, and I think it's you know that part of territory, and we have to adapt, and that's the point in having more players to select from, and we need a bigger squad, and now there's been a big shift in international football to having 3 games in 6 days, competitive games, which never ever happened before. That's new. Players used to come in on a Sunday, have 5 or 6 days of barely a lot of time to kill in the 5 or 6 days, and you know, between Sunday and Friday or Saturday night match before they played on the Tuesday. Now that doesn't exist. You're in on Monday, and the Premier League have a lot of games Sundays now. 5 different kickoff times, sometimes on a Sunday in lockdown. They might only come in on a Monday because they might have been on an 8 o'clock match or a 6 o'clock match, and they're on a flight and they play Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday. So the dynamic has changed, and some players then, if they're not playing regularly, they don't have the capacity to go with 2 games in 3 days if they're not playing regularly at all. You know, and you might say, why not? Because they're going up a level into international football, and you're reaching a level up against Serbia, and then to go again 3 days later. That for some players who aren't playing, they find that difficult. So you do need a squad, and you need, particularly for say 3 games like Portugal, Azerbaijan, Serbia, the intensity of those games. You can't just put the 11 out for the 3 games. That's ideally at a club level you can do that if you've everyone playing every week, everyone's the same level of fitness. But sometimes we've got players who haven't played in 3 months, and they're coming in, and that's it. And that's the nature of where we are. But I wouldn't be negative about that, because we've got a lot of very positive things happen in relation to a lot of the players have good futures ahead of them, and we want to help them even do well and give them the opportunity. And we want them to do well at international football and give them a great chance to enhance their careers as well.
And given that you are straight into qualifiers, back into qualifiers in September, are there opportunities for some of the new players coming into the squad to play their way into your squad for those games?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I would say there's always opportunities, and people can impress in training or in the games, and yeah, that's what you want. You want that level of competition, and then you've got a situation like the original point you made about having the same squad. So you need players who can adapt from our squads. You will be missing players invariably through injury in September. It happens, and you need players who can adapt and do that and play, and that's what we need.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anthony Pine.
Hey Stephen,
Hi,
you touched on there, you sort of have, relatively speaking, a luxury of time in this camp. Are you looking forward to that, or how much are you looking forward to that, just from a coaching perspective, that you will maybe be able to drill into things in a way that you haven't been able to do previously, given the windows is so short leading into games?
Yeah, and I'd imagine we have training time on the pitches, which is critical, and in team meetings, you know, it gives us a lot of time on the grass, but also probably more in a more relaxed environment, because we've been sort of living in a COVID-induced windows, which have been can take. It has to be, you know, fun when you're training and when you're playing. You want the element of fun, and people can enjoy themselves. And sometimes in the COVID environment, that's been difficult for people. So I do think, I'm not saying we're out of the woods in regard to the COVID situation, far from it, but it should be a more relaxed environment in the training ground in Girona, in the environment we're in, and you know, you're right. We're in on the Friday, and we've a good lead in time between Friday and the following Thursday before our game against Andorra. So there's an opportunity to get some good work done.
And for just some of these guys coming in, like, is this an audition for the qualifiers? I mean, this is a chance for them to potentially force their way in for the big ones in September.
Well, it is. I think I think you want that element of competition, and you want it's an opportunity for players to come in. It's always an opportunity. If you get a chance to play, you put your best foot forward, and you put yourself in contention to be selected for sure, and that goes without saying.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.